What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Friday. Little TGIF action coming at you. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Got the app, download it, take it on the go. Video streams also up and rolling on Facebook and YouTube. Link is up on Twitter over there as well. But hey, happy Friday, everybody, and appreciate you making us part of your start. It's maybe a little bit cooler out there. Got the hoodie on, ready to go, getting ready for fall here. What do we got on a good old game plan for us this morning? Brewer, man alive, break up offense. Holy moly! Yesterday afternoon, offense exploding again for the Crew, forcing the Braves to even do another position player pitching at the end there. But it's like save some at bats for the upcoming series is here. But 16-7 victory for the Brewers. Keep saying last night. Yesterday afternoon, sweeping the Atlanta Braves, doing a little August cleaning there. But man, oh man, where do we begin with this one? Yeah, Jackson Cheerio again. I mean, this kid. Can we please, national media, start to talk about this kid? He's not going to win it. Paul Skeens has all the attention, but can we please give this man some more attention, some more love? 4 National League Rookie of the Year, 3 more hits, couple of home runs for Jackson Cheerio yesterday, batting in that 2 spot. 4 RBIs. He is up to a 277 batting average, 14 home runs, OPS of a 763 in his last 35 at-bats. All this youngster has done is hit for 429 and slugging for 629 with an on base of a 459. I mean, just kind of sit back and realize what this 20-year-old kid is doing and how freaking hot he's playing right now. I mean, goodness gracious. But Contreras also getting a home run. You had Mitchell with another homer, Adames with his 20th homer, Bowers getting in on the home run derby contest yesterday too. But 20 total hits for the Brewers in their win yesterday, handing Charlie Morton a loss. He only went 2 2/3, giving up 8 earned runs. But man alive, Montas, no decision for him. 4 innings. 3 earned runs. Peguero gets credited with the W in yesterday's contest. So the Brewers now 65-49 overall this season. Taking a look at the division race here too, with the Cardinals, the Brewers now up 7 games over the St. Louis Cardinals. 9 up over Pittsburgh, 9.5 over the Cubs and the Reds. That's who the Brewers will be welcoming to American Family Field for a 3-game series starting tonight. Don't overlook this series and look ahead to the Dodgers and Cleveland coming up after that. So, but Aaron Savali is going to get the start for the Crew tonight. I'm looking for a good performance from him. Start to stack some success from Savali over there. Then you've got Tobias Myers going to be making the start on Saturday, and then Sunday a little TBD. But could we actually get a little bit of maybe DL Hall action over there? It's kind of maybe a little bit of the thought out there that maybe we could get a little bit of the DL Hall getting a start, or at least being the opener, if you will. So we'll talk some baseball and talk some Brewers baseball coming up here in just a little bit. Also, we've got our first Packers preseason game coming up tomorrow. It's just preseason. We had a couple games in action last night. If you were tuning in, you had Patriots and Panthers, and the Giants were also in action last night too. But Packers, Browns going to be going at it tomorrow, 3:25. I've got my list, a few players, all right? So a few players that I'm anxious, curious to get a first glimpse at. Again, I don't want to read too much into it. After for one, it's a preseason game. Y'all know I love preseason games, but I also recognize it's preseason. But it is the first one here too. But I'm anxious, curious, excited, intrigued to see a few guys on the field for the first time and getting some game action for the first time. So I'll throw it back to you though. Is there a player, or maybe is there a couple players that you're kind of intrigued to see? And when I say that, it's not Jordan Love. It's not going to be him. Mostly looking for the youngsters, like the rookies and those guys, or maybe some, position battles, seeing who kind of gets the first crack at it, and kind of see who's been the talk of training camp. If you haven't been down to practice and you've just kind of been following along, and this is your first glimpse to maybe see them in action there. So, but give me your picks. All right, give me your picks. Hit me up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with the quick text 715-830-1912. So we'll throw a little football chat in here. We're going to catch up with Dr. Crow, Chuba Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, coming up in under an hour from now. So we'll catch up with him. We've got Brandon Berg who'll be joining us after that. We'll do a little local sports roundup with him too. Now with high school football practice underway this week, we'll hit that up. Also, we'll talk some Legion baseball, get you an update on how the Pizza Huts, Eau Claire, and such are doing. Right now with the Express, they did fall last night to Thunder Bay. However, Waterloo helping out the cause. They defeated Duluth last night. So we still have Duluth and Eau Claire tied for first place. And we've got 2 more games left to go. 2 more games left to go. Got Rochester and Duluth going in action. And this is kind of big for Rochester, too, because they're just 1.5 back in the standings here. So, I mean, they're looking at this as like, okay, hey, we win Hartford, we win our 2. Maybe Madison wins 2 against Eau Claire, then Rochester goes up there into first place. So, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching this weekend. The Express will be on the road in Madison tonight, and then the season finale, the regular season finale, coming up tomorrow night at Carson Park. So we'll catch up on all the local stuff there with the expert at hand, Mr. Brandon Berg. We'll throw maybe a little Olympics talk in here too. The men's basketball team avoiding, losing yesterday against Serbia. Come from behind victory against Serbia, 95-91, to advance to the gold medal game. One point, the U.S. men's team was down 17. Was it? Yeah, 17. So. But Kenny Bednarik getting the silver yesterday in his 200 meters. So he was up at the podium, his second Olympic gold medal, silver medal in that event there. But the United States now 103 total medals. The next closest is China at 74. The United States leaders are tied for the most golds with China at 30. They've got the most silvers at 38 and the most bronze at 35. So, but we'll throw a little bit of that chat in there too. We got a little cream of the crop coming at you a little bit later on here. So let's get things rolling here. All right. We got a busy first hour because I want to hit up some Brewers chats. I want to hit up a little green and gold chat here. Jackson Cheerio, man. You remember what it was a few weeks ago? I think it was like at the halfway mark. Has he been hitting your expectations? Right at them, sort of thing. He's blowing mine out of the water right now. Absolutely blowing my expectations out of the water. If we do a little bit of a Jackson Cheerio status update, this kid is on fire, in fuego right now. And I don't think if you're watching a game or maybe you're seeing some of the videos or the photos online, have you not seen that kid not smile? I mean, I swear every time, whether he's in the field or whether he's getting ready to go up to bat, the dude just got this big grin on his face, and why not? You're playing some incredible baseball. You're also getting a nice payday. Life has got to be pretty good for Jackson Cheerio, baseball wise, at this point in time. But I mean, this kid, he's just he's setting the bar. He continues to set the bar higher and higher, and continues to set higher expectations, which is a good thing for himself for the rest of his career at this point. So we'll take a look back at yesterday's game and take a look at this division series with the Reds starting tonight before that really big stretch going up against the Dodgers and Cleveland and perhaps a really big 3-game series against the Cardinals there too, coming up starting on the 20th. So we'll throw that in there. Also, give me a few names, few Packer players that maybe you're going to be kind of keeping tabs on, or you're anxious, curious to see in action to kind of get a first glimpse of in tomorrow's preseason game. Again, don't pick the Jordan Loves. Try to think maybe like a rookie or a second year guy or position battle or something like that. Okay, so let's get it going here. Take our first break, and then we got the leadoff coming up. We'll kick it off with a little Jackson Cheerio love affair right now. Dude is in fuego right now. We'll hit that up and more coming up in just a few minutes. Today is the day for the Big Brothers, Big Sisters golf outing that's going on at Hickory Hills here in Eau Claire. Anybody who is participating in the event, best of luck. I'm excited. Anybody go and let me know how it goes there too. Because it's got some new rules. It's their battle golf event at Hickory Hills, which it's got some unique like a unique rule. So you got like a foursome, twosome versus another twosome, and then whoever wins on that hole, they get to take away a club from the other twosome and such. So sounds really fun. I'm gonna have to try to hit that up next year. But best of luck to everybody who is participating in the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northwestern battle golf tournament going on today. And a reminder too, Big Brothers Big Sisters Northwestern Wisconsin, they're looking for some bigs. If you want to help make a positive impact in a youngster's life, and it's just maybe about a hour a week or averages out to about 4 hours a month. If you're willing to do that, maybe you know find a little that you could share your same passions with, whether it's maybe watching a ball game or with football season coming up. Talk a little football, hanging out and throwing the ball around and such. Hey, head on over to Big Brother's website and sign up and apply to be a volunteer and apply to be a big. It's bbbsnw.org. And you can also check out their Facebook page over there too. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Northwestern Wisconsin. So, all right, let's get things rolling here this morning on the lead off the crew with another big time win last night. The Bats staying alive, staying hot. 20 total hits for the Brewers in their victory yesterday against the Braves to complete the sweep. Little early August sweep, pre-fall cleaning, if you will. 16-7 victory for the crew. Jackson Chourio, what else can we say about this kid? What else can we say about this youngster? 3 hits, couple home runs, 4 RBIs for him in the game yesterday. He is now up to a 277 batting average, 763 OPS. In his last 35 at-bats, he is hitting 429 and slugging 629. The kid is on fire right now. Absolutely on fire at the plate. And so far in the month of August, he is hitting 433, slugging 633, and an on base of a 469. And I'm sure there's probably some people saying, yeah, that's August. That's only a few games in. Look what he did in July, though. All he did was hit for 317 in the month of July. What did he do in June? Hit 315 in the month of June. After a little bit of a slow start offensively, or maybe inconsistent start offensively, especially in the months of April. I mean, April, he ended up hitting 176. May started to climb up, hit 215 in the month of May. But since June, this kid has been on fire and much needed too. I mean, he has been a guy that has really, really stepped up to help fill the void left by Christian Yelich being out of the lineup, dealing with that back injury. He has been such a big boost offensively in helping fill that big void left, by Christian Yelich's bats. I don't know what else we could say about this kid that we haven't said in the last few weeks or even in the last month and a half. If these national peeps out there aren't going to recognize Jackson Chourio, we'll continue to keep recognizing Jackson Chourio right now. Get more attention to him for Rookie of the Year, for National League Rookie of the Year. Not to take anything away from all the other guys who are in contention, but what Jackson Chourio is doing right now, and on a first place ball club, and you factor in all of the other stuff where he opens up the season with a big contract, gets a big deal without playing a single inning in Major League Baseball. and helping fill the void left by Christian Yelich. You factor all that in there, this dude is easily one of the top rookies in all of baseball, not eighth best odds in the National League to win Rookie of the Year. He's not going to win it. Paul Skeens is probably going to win it. I'm not going to take anything away from that, but Cheerio deserves a little bit more recognition from all across Major League Baseball and all across the national media out there. So, but just another fantastic performance from the youngster. And like I was saying a little bit earlier too, like I don't know if I haven't seen this kid not smile. Like every time, it's like almost every time we see him, catch a glimpse of him. You know, I was watching the game a little bit yesterday, and he's got this big grin on his face as he's walking up to the plate. He's got this big grin on his face when he's out in the outfield, just roaming around, or when he makes a catch. The 20-year-old that has got a pretty darn good baseball life going on right now. And the kid's just having fun right now. The kid is just having fun. And you like to see that. Yeah, I mean, there's examples. How many times? It's not just baseball, but in sports or in general, and life in general. We've seen, all right, youngster gets a big payday. This kid's just going I mean, I don't know him at all. I've never interacted with him, and I can only just speak from what, we've read or have listened to or what we've seen from our own eyes. But a 20-year-old who's got a nice payday, dude just looks like a kid out there having fun playing baseball. But Jackson Churio continues to set the bar higher and higher for himself, and starting to, maybe give us all a pretty good glimpse, a peek behind the curtain as to why the Brewers were so high on him to begin with for a while now, and why they were confident in giving him that contract. He's proven the Brewers right now. Proven the Brewers exactly right with his play. Where would this offense be without Jackson Churio right now? Fun to see. And it's fun to see games like we've seen offensively from the Brewers these last couple of days, or especially during this series against the Braves here. I mean, 20 hits. And I know the Braves are a very, very, very inconsistent team. And they've had their ups and downs, no question about it. But for a team that, when you're looking at how they played against the Nationals, Atlanta at home, Miami at home, to come out on the road in Atlanta to sweep them and to put up some of the offensive numbers that they did, got to feel pretty good. And maybe that was just some of the frustration being left, kind of like from these Brewers players. Like, all right, we lost the series at home against Miami. Inexcusable. We lost at home against Atlanta. We lost a series to the Nationals. Inexcusable. Maybe they took that frustration out a little bit in the series against Atlanta. Good for them. Now just keep her going. All right. You got Cincinnati coming to town. The longest home stretch of the season for the Brewers is starting tonight with that 3 games against the Reds, 4 against the Dodgers, and 3 against Cleveland. The longest home stretch for the Crew. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of this 10-game homestand that they're on right now. This was a team that was playing incredibly well at home before the All-Star break. So well at home. Faltered a little bit as of late. Let's try to recapture that magic. Let's try to recapture that home field advantage. Make American Family Field a place that when you get to the postseason, that's going to be very difficult for whoever comes in to come away and try to win a series there. So let's try to reestablish the Brewers as being a dominant or a really, really good home team. That's what I want to see. I want to see wins, but I want to see this team excel at home. Take advantage of the fact that the Dodgers are coming to your house. Take advantage of the fact that the Guardians are coming to your house. Okay? Remember earlier in the season when they played the Dodgers on the road, and when they played the Phillies on the road, and that was that whole talk about, well, they can play with them, but can they beat them? And maybe the one caveat to all that was, well, they were on the road. That series in the beginning of June against Philly was on the road, and that series against the Dodgers and around July 4th or right after July 4th was on the road. So, they played with them. They couldn't beat them, but they were on the road. Is that series different if it's in Milwaukee? Well, here you go. Here's your chance coming up starting next week. And I don't want to overlook this Red series by any means. But this is your chance to maybe silence some of those doubters or silence maybe one of the last remaining questions or answer one of the last remaining questions you have surrounding this Brewers team. Okay, they can hang with some of the best in the National League, but can they beat the best in the National League? You have an opportunity to do that at home. Dodgers, and then you have the opportunity to do that against the Guardians at home. And then next month, you get that opportunity with Philadelphia too. Not to look too far ahead, but I got this big schedule in front of me right now, and I'm looking at it. And the way Arizona's playing, you're looking at this stretch September 13th all the way through September 22nd. Arizona, Philly, Arizona. 7 games against the Diamondbacks, 3 games against the Phillies. Whew, that's going to be a tough stretch coming up here, too, if Arizona continues their hot streak. But let's focus on the task at hand here. All right. Got a 3-game series with the Reds starting tonight. Aaron Savali is a dude that I want to start to see some improvement from. I want to start to see him pitch better. Okay. Let's start some momentum, some positive momentum building tonight. He's coming off of a loss against the Nationals where he went 4 innings, giving up 5 earned runs. I want to see some better pitching from Aaron Savali starting tonight. Let's start to stack some success. Let's start to see some better improvement from him. I mean, it hasn't been anything to write home about since the Brewers acquired him and he made his debut on July 5th. Finished the month of July, 4 games, 0-1 with a 4.29 ERA. And that ERA is the lowest, his best month, not counting the 1 game in March, where he actually, against Toronto, went 6 innings and just gave up 1 earned run, and it was a solo shot. But I want to see Savali start to play better. The staff needs him to step up his game. Because probably if you were to power rank the rotation, the starting rotation, Tobias, Colin Ray, Freddie, and then, if you get to a 4 spot in that rotation, it's probably right now between Montas and Aaron Savali, and who knows, whoever gets that start on Sunday, whether it is a DL Hall or whether it's kind of a bullpen type of day. There's going to be that competition for that 4th spot. If we talk a little postseason baseball and they go to a 4-man rotation, who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be that guy that gets that ball? Because right now it's Tobias, it's Colin Ray, and it's Freddie. Savali's got to prove something. He's got to start to pitch better here. And you got Frankie, and then maybe a DL Hall or another situation, or who else it would be at this point? Because Joe Ross is pitching on the pen now. But this weekend too, I think we're going to see DL Hall, and whether he gets the start and maybe it's just a couple innings or a few innings or that. If it is DL Hall this weekend, I'm excited to see, could he be a nice boost to this rotation? There's been a lot of talk whether he will be a starter, whether he will go, to the pen. And this is a guy that last year for Baltimore, he was a pivotal player down the stretch, especially in the month of September. He had some big outings for Baltimore. But I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen DL Hall. We're talking since April. All right. We haven't seen him since April. Could he potentially provide a little bit of a nice boost here for this Brewers pitching staff? We'll see. But yeah, September, in the month of September, coming out of the pen here. I mean, this was from last year with Baltimore. In how many games do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games in the month of September. He went 3-0. Could have just looked at the total column there instead of counting them for crying out loud. He went 3-0 and a 3.75 ERA, just 5 total earned runs. One game he gave up 3 earned runs, and that was against Tampa Bay. Other than that, he was pretty awesome. And then one game in October against Boston. 1 inning, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. This might be the version of DL Hall that we might, or again, depends on if they try to make him a starter and such too. But I'm excited to see him get back on the mound, and maybe he can provide a nice boost to this rotation and answer that question: who's going to be the fourth guy in that starting rotation? Maybe this weekend will be the first step towards that. All right, let's take a quick break here. We got a Packers preseason game coming at you tomorrow. Who are some of the players that you will be kind of paying attention to, or you're curious or intrigued to maybe get a first glimpse at? Okay, I'm going to give you a handful of players that I'm intrigued about that I'll maybe be paying extra special attention to coming up on Saturday. Not worried about wins or losses. Main thing, nobody get hurt. Don't care about wins and losses. That's the top 2 things for me when it comes to preseason. But there's certain players that I want to keep a close eye on. I've got my list. What's your list? Hit me up with a text 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back to finish up the first hour after these few words. In case you missed the announcement last Friday at the golf course, but Man Cave Lights has gone through a little bit of a makeover. Big thanks to now Bent Paddle Brewing Company. They're the new brewers of the new Man Cave Lights, and also what's new about them? They're going to be available in 6 packs, 12-ounce cans, 6 packs at Hy-Vee, exclusively at Hy-Vee. So if you haven't, we had a lot of positive reviews at the golf outing last Friday. Everybody who participated in the outing got a free Man Cave light in their swag bags, and there was some available at the course last Friday too. So a lot of positive reviews. Big thanks for that. But make sure you're checking it out now. It's going to be available at Hy-Vee's exclusively here in Eau Claire. All right, 6 packs now brewed by Bent Paddle Brewing Company there. So if you are visiting Hy-Vee to grab some of those 6 packs there, don't forget to grab some Dan Good burgers from the meat department or any other supplies if you're maybe doing some last minute vacation road trips before school starts and that. But check it all out at our good friends from Hy-Vee. And again, big thanks to Hy-Vee, who were our Champions Meal sponsors from the outing on Friday. The smoked pulled pork sandwiches, the burgers, everything was absolutely fantastic. So, we've got our first Packers preseason game coming at you tomorrow, taking on the Cleveland Browns. One of three games here. So this is our first glimpse for some people out there, seeing the team and maybe seeing some of the youngsters in action and such. So, you know, I don't care about wins or losses in this preseason game. In preseason, I hope nobody really cares about wins or losses when it comes to the preseason. I think the main thing we're hoping is that everybody stays healthy. They get through these games healthy, and we see guys getting better, getting an opportunity to to improve their game and to maybe win a job to earn a job for this team. So for me, I'm looking at individual players. I'm not looking at scheme. I'm not looking at how Jeff Hafley's calling plays or Matt LaFleur's calling plays or anything like that. It's going to be a lot of base stuff out there. But it'll be kind of interesting to see, maybe a 4-3 base now. And we'll see if Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and those guys, how much action they actually get in, Kenny Clark and them. But nonetheless, obviously paying attention to the new kickoff rule and see how that kind of flows and trying to get used to that or get adjusted to that. But in terms of like certain players, the players that I'm going to be watching the most are going to be players that are involved in position battles, are players that are maybe trying to fight for a spot, or the youngsters, and getting our first glimpse of those guys in action. Obviously, I think kicking is going to be one of those. This might be a situation too where Green Bay they'd settle for a lot of field goal attempts just to see their kickers in action here. But you look at that. Is it Anders? Is Anders, going to have a few opportunities and really, really make a case to keep that job? Or is it Greg Joseph, the veteran? Is he going to be able to be, that guy that says, you know what, I've won this job. Got to give it to me. Is it between those two guys? Is it between the new kid that they brought in just a couple days ago from Oklahoma State, was in the UFL? Yeah, it was Jonathan Garibay. Was it Jonathan Garibay? That's one of them that they brought in for a workout and such. But no, Alex Hale. Excuse me, Alex Hale. Oklahoma State's Alex Hale. So Jonathan Garibay is the guy that they brought in for a workout, but Alex Hale is was over there too. So, but nonetheless, you're looking at the kicking battle. You're looking at the kicking situation, and I don't mind if we get a lot of field goal attempts. They got to figure this thing out. I want somebody to run away with this job. I don't want a couple of average performances, and you're stuck trying to pick between, well, this guy was about 70% of camp and this guy was like 71% through camp. I want somebody just to run away with his job and making an easy decision. So you're looking at that. I'm looking at the back end of the wide receivers, specifically around that 5-6 spot. We know Romeo, we know Watson, we know Wicks, and we know Jaden Reed. Those are your top 4 wide receivers. But then it's like 5, 6. I don't think they keep 7. But Malik Heath, guy that was an undrafted kid last year, made the team. I think he's, if we're to power rank him, if you will, I think he's number 5 right now. And then after that, Samori Toure, who's been around for a few years, really hasn't maybe either gotten that opportunity to take that jump or just hasn't taken advantage of that or hasn't taken that jump yet. And then you got Grant DuBose, who they spent a mid-round pick on a couple years ago. So I'm looking at the back end of that wide receiving group. And then you got Bo Melton. I didn't even mention Bo Melton into this equation here, too. Is it Bo Melton or is it Malik Heath as that fifth wide receiver? And then, 6, 7, because I don't think they'll keep 7 wide receivers. Now, I know they have in the past. I don't think they will. I'm looking at maybe at 6. So right now, I think your leaders in the clubhouse, again, besides the obvious ones of Watson, Romeo, and Dontavian and Jaden Reed, you're looking at Bo Melton and Malik Heath. So that means Grant might be out and Samori Toure might be out. But can those guys make it a difficult decision on Goody and the coaching staff? Can they go out there and have some games and maybe knock off Malik Heath off that 6th spot, 5th spot, or Bo Melton or whatever the case may be? But the back end of the receivers I'm looking at for these games. You're looking at running backs. Josh Jacobs, we know the guy is going to be that guy. But Marshawn Lloyd, this is going to be our first glimpse, outside of what we've seen at practice. And he missed some practice time here too, so we didn't get to see a whole lot over there. But, there's this talk. Could he take over the number 2 running back spot from A.J. Dillon? But A.J. Dillon, from all accounts, from everybody saying, best shape of his life, looks really good in camp. He's going to get plenty of opportunities in preseason to showcase why he shouldn't be a cap casualty. You throw in Emmanuel Wilson, who, again, was a guy last year we saw in the preseason, like, oh, yeah, we got to keep that guy. So assuming Green Bay is going to keep 3 running backs, maybe they keep 4. But if they keep 3, is it Wilson, the odd man out? But what if Wilson performs better than A.J. Dillon? Could A.J. Dillon be the odd man out? We know Josh Jacobs and Lloyd are going to be the guys, but maybe pay attention to a little bit. I still think it's going to be A.J. Dillon, but I know they really like Wilson, so maybe they'd keep 4. And obviously offensive line. We know it's Walker at your starting left tackle. We know it's Elton Jenkins. We know it's Josh Myers. We know it's Zach Tom. I know Jordan Morgan's got a shoulder issue right now. But who's going to be that right guard? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Sean Ryan? What about the depth behind these guys? Because chances are we're going to see some starters go down this year on the offensive line. So what about Andre Dillard, a former first-round pick? Can he step in and be a serviceable starting tackle if he needs to be a starting tackle? Or can he be a serviceable player, a solid player if his number is called? How many more chances is Royce Newman going to get out there? What about the rookie Jacob Monk from Duke, who I think could potentially be the future starting center for this team? They really liked Luke Tenuta last year. Got hurt, but they kept him. Are we going to see that a little bit of that this year? What about Telford? I'm looking at the depth of this offensive line. I want to see some solid play because with Zach Tom missing some time at camp, right tackle has not been the greatest. I want to see the second and third unit of this offensive line. And I want to see them play well and maybe give us a little confidence, like, okay, they got some depth at offensive line, because I think there's some question marks surrounding that right now. I think there's a little bit of question marks surrounding that. Defensively, I I think maybe the main thing is you look at linebacker on this, or one of the main things you look at linebacker, because if we look at the Packers depth chart, and I don't take depth charts too seriously, but in a base, they do have Isaiah McDuffie, Quay Walker, and Eric Wilson as your starters. Who's missing out of there? It's the rookie Cooper. But this is going to be our first glimpse of Edrin Cooper. You know, he looks fast. He looks like a really, really freak athlete out there. Could he work his way into that starting lineup? Or are we going to open up the season with those guys in a base? How does Quay Walker look in a new position? You know, this other rookie, Hopper, he's got a lot of speed over there too. I think he's a guy though that probably going to be more of a contributor year one on special teams. You can kind of mold him here a little bit, but I'm interested to see these linebackers play in a new position, but also can McDuffie take advantage of this opportunity? Can Eric Wilson, who has been known mostly as a special teams guy, is he going to get an opportunity maybe to be getting regular playing time on the defensive side? And then I think, you know, you look at safeties as the other big one over there. We know Xavier McKinney is the main guy. Who's going to be that other guy next to him? Is it going to be Bullard? Evan Williams has been having a really good camp too, the rookie out of Oregon. Anthony Johnson Jr., rookie from last year, has been having some good days here too. I think we know the top four safeties within this group. The question is there really another is that other safety job outside of Xavier McKinney? The question is that truly open for competition, or is it still going to be Javon Bullard, who was the higher pick? Is Evan Williams really pushing him for that spot? I've got no problem with competition for playing time and for a spot on here. So you're looking at safeties, the corners, Jair, Eric, Keyshawn. We know those are the three. But I'm really excited to see Kalen King now in action. Ever since he was drafted, he was like the target for a lot of Packers fans. 7th round pick. Ooh, could have been an earlier pick, maybe even a 1st round pick the year before. Fell down in the draft. I think everybody's excited to see number 34 out there, Kalen King from Penn State, to see what they got with him, because we've heard, you know, after the draft process, a lot of praise about him. Now we're going to see him in action. He's my pick for the Lindsey Pipkins preseason player to, you know, annual preseason player to watch list. I want to see Kalen King go out there and ball out. We know, though, it's Stokes, it's Valentine, it's Jair, it's Keyshawn Nixon as your top four. We know that in a base defense. If we go nickel, it's still those three. It's Jair, it's Stokes, it's Nixon. But does Corey Ballentine finish off the year with the team last year? How does he look this year? And then, of course, we're looking at, okay, it's a new defensive front. It's a 4-3. If Rashawn, if Preston play in the game, we know some starters are going to play in the game. How do they look with their hand in the dirt? How does Lucas Van Ness look with his hand in the dirt year two? Devontae Wyatt and such. Is he going to wreak havoc around the defensive line? A lot of things to be looking at. All right, we got 1 hour in. 2 more to go here. We'll begin the second hour catching up with Dr. Crow inside the training room, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. He'll be joining us after these news updates.
Fair. Let's take a look at that story and more this morning on our farm news on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. The 2024 Governor's Blue Ribbon Auction was held Wednesday night during the Wisconsin State Fair down in West Allis. A new sale record was set for the Champion Market Lamb. That lamb brought $21,000. Champion Market Steer crossbred sold for $35,000. Champion Market Hog went for $22,500. Also selling was the Reserve Champion Market Steer sold by Tucker Bayer of Ringel in central Wisconsin. That steer brought $20,000. Total sale receipts for all the animals sold, $426,750, with more than $23,000 in receipts, better than last year's total. A portion of the money goes to the Wisconsin Blue Ribbon Champions Foundation, which hands out scholarships to young people involved in agriculture. Wisconsin cheesemakers churned out more product this past June than they did a year ago, but not as much as this past May. Total June cheese production across the state, just over 296 million pounds. That's 10 million less than in May, and about 2.5 million pounds more than a year ago in June. Some of the biggest increases in the past year were Gouda production, up 42%, with Blue and Gorgonzola output up over 53%. On the other side of the ledger, Parmesan production in the state in June, down about 23% from last June. California was second in cheese production in June, almost 90 million pounds less than here in Wisconsin. Another major farm equipment manufacturer is feeling the financial pinch of slow sales caused by falling farm revenue from lower commodity prices. AGCO, the manufacturer of tractors and equipment like Fendt and Massey Ferguson, reporting their second quarter sales were down over 15% to just over $3 billion. For the first 6 months of this year, AGCO sales are down over $6 billion. And company officials say they will deal with a slowdown in sales by selling some assets and cutting production by, as one company official put it, and we quote, restructuring our workforce, unquote. That's a look at some food and farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. I'm Bob Bosold.
The weather has been warmer, and you've been outside taking advantage of this nice weather. And maybe you thought you still had one more year left to play in that softball league again, but then you realized you don't. Those aches and pains are back. So it's time to visit Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine will help treat your aches and pains so you can live that pain-free and healthy life. Schedule your appointment at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine by visiting cvosm.com.
Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit progressive.com. That's progressive.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, sports aficionados and armchair quarterbacks, welcome to the Dan Kasper Show, where sports passion meets expert analysis. Dan's encyclopedic knowledge and infectious passion for all things sports is both impressive and sad.
I have many leather-bound books.
So get ready to laugh, cheer, and maybe even facepalm a few times.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
It's the Dan Kasper Show.
Second hour beginning on this Friday morning of August 9th. A big thanks for making us a part of your start here before you're off for the weekend. Coming up this hour, we'll do a little local sports roundup now that high school football practice is in full swing this week. We still got some Legion baseball in action, the Express, two big games coming up for the Express this week too. We'll do our local sports roundup with the help of Mr. Brandon Berg coming up here in just a little bit. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as they get set to take on the Cincinnati Reds, returning home for their longest home stretch of the season, 10-game home stretch coming up here. That begins tonight. We'll get back to some other football talk here as well. But we began this hour with our dude, Dr. Austin Crow.
Paging Dr. Crow. breaking down the latest in sports injuries. It's time for Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow. You better call me a doctor. On the Dan Kasper Show. Somebody give me a doctor.
He is Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, joining us here this morning. How we doing, Austin?
I'm doing fantastic.
Hey, that a boy. Hey, it is football season going on right now. We got our first preseason games in the books. They're coming up this weekend. Is it starting to feel like football for you? A little chilly out there this morning too. Is it starting to kind of get into your veins a little bit?
Oh, it is. Yeah, I decided to end up helping out my son's football team, so I'm doing some coaching this year. So it's really real this year.
Oh, look at that. Are you helping out with the linebackers back to your old playing days, or what?
They actually had me defensive line, defensive end, so kind of similar. So
nice.
Close enough. I still remember a couple things from the old glory days.
That a boy. Well, I'm gonna have to check out a practice now and give you a little hard time, maybe, or something like that too. So that's awesome. That's gonna be cool. So. Hey, speaking of football, I saw the NFL's Dr. Alan Stills. He was with Pat McAfee yesterday on his program, and one of the main topics, and we see it a lot in practice and training camp, is those shells under helmets to help prevent concussions. Everybody kind of has seen that. He made an interesting he made a comment yesterday, I should say, that they've permitted to use it during games this year. I was just kind of curious your thoughts on that. And do you think that could, and it's all relative and it's not going to be 100% perfect in that, but could you see that as a trend where maybe more players are going to start to wear those shells outside their helmets actually during games in the foreseeable future?
I mean, I think it depends on what the data ends up showing. I mean, I think there's some preliminary stuff on those. It's hard because, I mean, concussions, thankfully, are a relatively uncommon event. So it's hard to really prove that those are going to make a big difference. But I think we're going to try, see a lot of different things that are to minimize that. I mean, if you really look at kind of the existential threats for football, that is really high on the list. Is that, there's this concern for these head injuries, repetitive or acute injuries. So CTE. And I mean, I think, we're going to try to use every weapon at our disposal to do it. So, I mean, whether, last year they got a little bit popular, those little kind of C collars people were wearing that supposedly increases the venous pressure in the brain to cushion, whether it's the pad on the helmet. I think one thing you have seen clearly is change to practice, and, hitting isn't, I mean, when we were young, you were going full go every practice all day, every day. And now they do a lot more walkthrough, going through the motions. And so I think there's also going to be some of that risk mitigation. So to answer your question, yes, I do think we may see more of that. It's not really detrimental. I mean, it doesn't really affect the play in a real negative way. So I'm guessing it will catch on, but obviously we have to see how it pans out and if it really makes a big difference or not.
And I know you mentioned too, and this is, I think they've gone through it every year, but they said that, they've got like 12 new different helmets and 6 of them have already, passed better than any other helmet that they've ever had before. But I got to imagine that's something that's going to be like every year they look at improving helmets to help avoid that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, there's a different materials, different constructs. The idea is, of course, you want it to take a bit of the blow, but it has to obviously be strong enough not to break. That would be not an ideal helmet. So they're always looking at ways to do that. And so you can see they've almost kind of changed the shape slightly. And then they have different slots in them. Again, the idea is that it takes an impact and some of the impact goes through the helmet as opposed to being transferred to the skull and then ultimately the brain. So yeah, there's absolutely research going on. And I mean, we were on the market for our son for buying a helmet this year and we did research on it. Every company says they have the best one, of course, but there's no question that they're coming out every year. Now, maybe I'm a little bit glasses half empty on it. I do wonder if it's a little bit marketing as well. It's like every year somehow there's one that's dramatically better and, helmets aren't cheap. So maybe it's a bit of a marketing ploy as well. But still, I mean, I think we need to take that seriously. And so I do think that that's going to be one of the things that they're going to look at as ways to change the technology of the helmet.
And a lot of it is, players being comfortable. Wasn't it Antonio Brown? Was he with the Raiders and he threw that fit about wanting his old helmet or something like that? Do you remember that story a couple of years ago?
I do. Yeah. I think it was one of the old ones that they weren't allowed to wear anymore.
Yeah.
Although that guy would find something to gripe about no matter what. But
exactly. Hey, this was something that was kind of just casually brought up the other day. It might have been Bob or something like that. I think he kind of casually said, why does it seem like there's more injuries in sports this year than in years past? And I know we've kind of talked about, the good old days, right, where you could throw 150 pitches and all that. But do you think, just to maybe make it similar or just to make it simple, are athletes in today's day and world or day and age in sports just bigger, faster, and stronger, and that's why maybe we see some more injuries to these guys or gals?
that's part of it, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Across the board, as they say, records are meant to be broken. Why? Because people are bigger, faster, stronger. They're pushing themselves. They have that target to hit. And so, just simply look at, if we're going to talk baseball, the velocity, the amount of break and spin they put on the ball. The forces come from somewhere, and that somewhere is their arms. So when you're doing that, you're really pushing the human body to its limit. And you get injuries to whether it's the UCL or the labrum in the shoulder or whatever it may be. Or in football, where you have, if you took an offensive lineman from the 1960s and put him in today's day and age, they would just be undersized, not fast. It's just changed. The game has changed. It's just unbelievable. And those were the top athletes back then. So it's not like, they were just some Joe Schmoes. My grandpa played football for the University of Texas in the 1940s. And I remember looking at one of his kind of brochures or handouts from the game, and the average size of their offensive line was like 215 pounds. You wouldn't even be, the wide receivers weigh that much now. It's just unreal. And that's obviously one of the biggest football schools in the country. So it just has changed. So yes, the answer, that's absolutely part of it. I think there's also the part of it where, our diagnostic abilities are better. So whether it's with advanced imaging and MRIs, CTs, we're able to see injuries that are smaller. Look, yeah, your hip hurts, just live with it. And now we can get MRI and say, look, you have a torn labrum in your hip and people are getting treated. So there may be a little bit of that as well. But if I had to point to one factor, we're just pushing our bodies closer and closer to the limit of what it can physically handle.
And that's what I'm going to ask next, because it seems like, now athletes are, if they're not playing, they're training every day, right? They're working out, or, back in the 60s or something, if a Packer player wasn't playing, he might be selling cars or working, at a different job or something like that.
Right.
Is that, part of it too, where there's that constant wear and tear if you're always working out, even if you're not playing a particular game that week or anything?
Yeah, that is absolutely part of it. And we've talked about this. There's two separate kind of categories, if you will, of injuries. There's acute, and then there's chronic overuse injuries. And so there's repetitive exposure to something not only increases the risk of chronic overuse injuries, but it does. Every time you're exposed to the football field, there's a chance you're going to get tackled and break your leg, right? So there's that as well. So the number of exposures increases the rate of acute injuries, but then also, if you're doing the same sport over and over, and we've talked about this in the past as well, multi-sport athletes, especially in the youth, it's nice to have variability and cross-training because you do work different muscle groups and you don't have that same risk of chronic overuse. So I'm a big fan of multi-sports in young athletes. So those are different things that do play a role as well. So absolutely, I would agree with that.
Speaking of Texas, your running back, CJ Baxter, suffered a knee injury in practice, tearing his LCL and his PCL. How rare is it to tear those two and maybe not tear your ACL in your knee?
So not that rare. When you injure one of the cruciates, so that the two cruciates are the ACL and the PCL. ACL is certainly more well known because it's more commonly injured. But with that, it's you usually have at least a little bit of an injury to one of the collaterals, which are what do we call the MCL, and then the LCL is part of a collective group we call the posterior corner. So when we look at the posterior corner, which is what the LCL is part of, that often does go hand in hand with a PL injury. So generally speaking, these injuries are going to be either a direct blow or a significant rotational deformity, so they plant and the leg gets twisted up underneath them. So those two will often go hand in hand with kind of a combo injury. So it's a significant injury. So honestly, I would much rather have a standalone ACL or an ACL MCL than a PCL posterior corner. That's a tough injury. Not to say you can't recover from it, but those are ones that just the recovery rates just aren't quite as high. But whenever you have two significant ligaments injured in a knee, it's definitely a much more serious injury, and the future is a little bit less optimistic. But still, I mean, with the techniques we have for reconstruction, we still have hope that that athlete's going to get back to the level they were before. But he's facing a big surgery and big recovery, no question.
And does the fact that he played running back kind of factor into that too? With maybe it might be a little difficult for him to recover and get back to his high level of play.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at what a running back needs to do. I mean, there's a handful of positions on the football field that need to do it, but I think running back's pretty high on that list of people that need to be able to accelerate. They need top end speed, and they need to be able to change direction very quickly. And how do you do that? Well, you plant your foot in the ground and pivot and twist, right? So the knee needs to be incredibly stable and incredibly strong to do that. So it is a tough injury. It's tough to see a guy go through that, but I'm sure he's in good hands down there, and we'll get a good reconstruction, and then the rehab begins. For that, you're looking at probably a year before they're able to play. So he's going to be clearly done for this season, and a majority of the offseason will be spent building that leg back up and getting nice strong quads and hammies to support the reconstruction. And we're hoping he'll be back for camp next year.
To wrap it up, going to your Twinnies, Joe Ryan, pitcher over there, just a couple days ago, had to leave the game early to what they were saying right tricep tightness. Rocco Baldelli said, though, that they're hoping it's not some type of large scale issue. If it is a large type of scale issue, what could it potentially be, in your opinion, if it's a tightness issue in his triceps?
Yeah, I mean, that's an atypical one for sure. I mean, we see plenty of shoulder and elbow issues in throwers, so that's not unique. But triceps in and of itself is a little bit more atypical. So if you look at the triceps itself back there, I mean, it's a muscle, right? So it has three heads, hence the term tri. Comes down to the back of the elbow, and it sounds like you're describing it closer towards the elbow from what I've read. So then you're probably looking at a tendon-based issue, or as it transitions from the muscle to the tendon. So if this is simply going to be a strain in that area, that could be, again, more in the muscle end, or some inflammation or tendinopathy in the elbow itself. The good news is the major ligaments, so the Tommy John or the lateral ligaments, are on the sides. And so you're not going to get those kind of quote unquote confused, because sometimes you do have medial elbow pain that could be a flexor strain, or it could be the UCL. In the back, it's kind of the triceps, and that's it. So the hope is, I'm guessing what they're hoping is that was just kind of a little bit of a muscle injury. So again, a strain to that muscle belly. But if it is more of a chronic tendinopathy that's beginning, well, that can take a little bit longer to go away. Not going to be serious in the sense of like, oh, his career's over, or needing surgery, but it could be, wow, this is going to nag him for a while, and he's going to have to maybe take a little bit of time on the IR and get it to heal up. So I'm sure they're hoping it's not the tendon and it's more of a muscle-based issue. But the MRI, I think he had an MRI already, or he's going to, and it didn't show too much. So hopefully it'll bounce back quickly.
He's Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Now that you're coaching, we start practice flag football next week, so I may have to convince you to be a guest coach for a week at practice or something like that.
Absolutely. I'll get down there, show them some pass rush moves.
Yes, for second graders. Yes, you have to do that. So we appreciate it, buddy. As always, enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up with you again soon, okay?
Absolutely. Take care, Dan.
You got it. There you go. Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. We'll take a quick break, and we'll catch up with our good buddy, Mr. Brandon Berg, coming up after these quick words. With football season on the horizon, well, it actually is here right now with preseason games going on. Maybe you want to do a little remodeling in the man cave or the rec room or anything like that. We got to start with the floors, and that's why you should visit Wisconsin's premier flooring center, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking for carpet, tile, luxury vinyl planks, whatever you're looking for, you name it, they got it over there. Or if you're not quite sure what you're looking for, the entire team there, they're so awesome to work with, so friendly to work with. They'll help you find what works perfect in your space and at the best price because they will match or beat that competition over there too if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. So stop on by 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire and chat with the amazing team and get your space ready for a little football season coming up here. I know you and Jason from Carpet City got to hang out a little bit after golf there, so that was good to see a kind of west or central Wisconsin
There we go.
vibe
A nice,
right there too. So
a
talking
nice-
old softball days, right?
Oh yeah, among other things.
Yep. So, well, did you have fun Friday?
I did.
Yeah?
I did. It was a
Good.
fun time.
Good. It was. I don't think anybody knows this. Can I say it though?
Yeah.
Brandon did win the Jordan Love jersey.
I've never been so disappointed to win something. So short story. Obviously, like everybody else, I got some raffle tickets and was putting tickets in. And my mom said, "Hey, you should put one in for me in the Jordan Love jersey." And I'm like, "I'll put one in." Well, guess which one got picked?
It was Brandon.
And there's a lot of them in there. So
Yeah.
I was yeah.
And
I couldn't win the other ones that I actually wanted to win, but
the rest of
I
the story.
guess you know what?
Yeah. So, hey, did you like the new Man Cave light?
I did. I
Yeah.
did actually. I really did. Other people liked it too, from what
yeah.
I was discussing.
I loved. So I was talking a little bit about it, and a lot of appreciate the positive feedback. Surveyor Sam has our new promo. He types it out, and I said I'm stealing this as a promo.
Oh yeah,
our champion.
Yeah,
Surveyor Sam.
champion.
It's the champion. So
is that some of the, like, going forward? Is that going to be some of the championship privileges? Is you get to write a commercial?
Maybe if it's good
If
like
it's
this
like
one.
that, yeah. Okay, well, I can't wait to hear it.
Every Man Cave light tastes like that first beer after a long, hard day's work, or that first beer you have with your buddies you haven't seen in quite some time. Every sip tastes like that first sip after the Packers score a touchdown. Yes, Man Cave Light might not be the beer you wanted, but it's the beer you needed. Man Cave Light, the sportsman's beer. Like, oh yeah. You know, the only thing that's missing right now is Sam Elliott voicing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still on the hunt to find somebody who can do a Sam Elliott impression. If you can, boy, do I got some work for you to do to come to the studio and record some stuff for me. So,
two things I'm thinking of as you mentioned that, though, for legal reasons. Number one, can you say Packers? Number two,
no, but
can you mimic Sam Elliott's voice?
Oh yeah, you can mimic. There's voice actors. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Want to make sure you're not getting
It's
yourself
just
in
a
trouble.
low
Yeah.
southern,
Yeah.
I did not know he was Smokey the Bear voice until Morgan's News over there. So, just to add it more to the legacy.
You never knew until now that Sam Elliott was telling you stop starting forest fires.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
Sam Elliott's a dude, though.
Yes, he is.
I love that guy. And the fact that he made a movie a couple years ago that says the man that killed Hitler and the Bigfoot. And I have that on DVD. Yes, I do. So, all right. To real stuff.
The sports.
The sports stuff. So, let's do some local sports roundup here, Brandon, because I know this week has been practice for football.
Allen Iverson might not like it, but I do.
Yes. So first full week of high school football practice
for 11-man teams. Yep.
So
I've been out and about already. I've taken in 4 already.
Yeah.
All 4 11-man teams in Chippewa County I've been to. Was at Chippewa Falls on Tuesday for their first day.
Okay.
And then yesterday I hit up 3 different ones: Stanley Boyd, Bloomer, and Cadott.
Okay.
So those previews will start rolling out this weekend. Stanley Boyd will be coming out this weekend. We'll have Cadott. We'll have Bloomer. We'll have Chippewa Falls next week, and then after that, we'll have the 8-man teams as they get going next week.
So, I mean, good video work, by the way. That
part of it was a process of a couple weeks ago when I was getting in my car in this very parking lot. I broke my work phone.
Yeah.
And because I had that phone so long, I was privy to an upgrade.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the big. I didn't notice until it was actually when I was at the chipper packs. I'm like, oh, this phone's much like it's a newer phone, but you just never know. I'm like, oh, this phone's much better when it comes to video, so that'll hopefully be helpful, for me during taking videos from events and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's fun to get out there and go, and obviously everyone's going. Everyone's excited, and I think there's just gonna be some really really good football, as there always is, but in this area this fall. So I'm looking. Look, go ahead.
You got is it 8-man football starting next week?
Next Tuesday, yes.
Next
and then we've
Tuesday?
also got I think it's girls golf. There's a couple other sports too, like swimming, girls swimming, and I think it might be also girls tennis, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So I don't remember, but by this time a week from Monday, all sports will be starting.
Okay.
So, but not next Friday, but by the time I'm here 2 weeks from today, well, number one, that would be like the first Friday of 11-man in the fall. But
all right.
But it would also be everyone would be underway by then.
So I'm gonna throw this out too. I'm trying to find the exact quote. So our good friend, friend of the program, Peter King.
Yeah.
I got an email actually a few days ago from him, not to share everything in it, but one of the things that he's doing is a cross country trip. Now he's retired and such, and he's actually going to be taking in the Wisconsin-Iowa football game.
Nice.
Coming in, but he's also, if anybody has any, if you got a suggestion for a 6 or 8-man football game we should see, send along some ideas.
Oh, I got a couple.
That's what I was going to ask
Okay.
you
right.
over there. So think of, because I'm like, oh, I know the expert when it comes to that.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Brandon Berg.
Okay.
For 8
Yeah, just give me the time frame.
All right. So
yeah, and you can obviously do that off air, but
because we got some good.
There's some really good teams
really
around
good
here, so
teams.
he could see something.
Mm-hmm. All right. Baseball wise, I know Legion for Eau Claire is.
They're still
they had their first loss just the other night, I believe, but they're still in it.
Yeah, I believe they're playing an elimination game today, if I saw correctly.
Down in Illinois over there. So
which I believe, I'm trying to remember I seen, but they're playing is it this afternoon?
Yes, 1:00 in an elimination game. They play Owensboro, Kentucky. Owensboro, Kentucky at 1:00.
I believe that's the home of the Waltrips of NASCAR fame.
Really? Look at you!
I think so.
Look at
I'm
you!
gonna look that up to be sure, but I'm pretty sure Michael and Daryl Waltrip are from Owensboro, Kentucky.
How many other people would know that off the top of their head right there? Brandon Berg would know that. That a boy. So, best of luck to the 19U Eau Claire Legion baseball team out there. Keep her rolling, and best of luck in today's game too. So, but
I was right.
You were right. That a boy.
As well as former NASCAR drivers David, Jeff, and Mark Green.
Really?
Jeremy Mayfield. Wow, all kinds of people are from Owensboro.
Apparently. How big is Owensboro?
It's a pretty decent size.
Is it? Okay.
Pretty big, yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. CRBL, I know there's been some awards and stuff, but, the Cavs got one and all. So are we getting set for the WBA
Yes, WBAs
tournament?
will start tonight.
Okay.
10 teams from the league will be in action. Yeah, the Eau Claire Cavaliers came from behind to beat the Eau Claire Bears on Saturday to win their first league championship. So congratulations to the Cavs. They're going to look to carry that momentum into the postseason here. And you've got regionals for both Division A and B. Remember, that's new this year. They've split up. They got kind of the larger areas in Division A and then the smaller ones in Division B. And you've got regionals all around the state. So you got teams playing everywhere from, I know Augusta locally hosts a Division B regional. If you wanted to go out and watch them get baseball, they'll be playing in Augusta throughout the weekend. But otherwise, you got people making trips to River Falls and Merrill, and even if you want to hop on 53 North and go to Hagen, they got a regional there. So I think Rapids has got one. There's a bunch of them, but so the regional, you'll have each team will be playing 2 games over the course of the weekend.
Okay.
Teams with the best records, I believe it's 8 from each division, will move on to next week's finals, where it's a single elimination tournament. So 8 teams to 4 teams to 2 teams to 1 team. So that's getting underway. Last year, Tilden's actually the defending state champions in the WBAs, and that was under the 1 division format. So you have to imagine that they're gonna the CRBL is gonna has a pretty good chance to have a pretty heavy influence on that second weekend when you think of, I mentioned Tilden, Osseo, Eau Claire Bears, Eau Claire Cavs. I mean, And even just a lot of those other teams that are going to be in it that have played in the CRB all year, they've seen good competition. Would not be surprised to see another team make it through.
Right.
So
Yep. Absolutely. Also, should note too the Babe Ruth team is going to get net starting tomorrow. They're going to be going up against Portland at 3:30. So like some of their pool play. Then the 11th, Southeast Missouri, and then the 12th, Puerto Rico, and then the 13th is Nigeria. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Little Babe Ruth, Babe Ruth team going up against that. So that's their pool play schedule, and that'll begin tomorrow for Eau Claire Babe Ruth. The Express, they fell last night to Thunder Bay, but also Duluth fell. 2 more games in the regular season. Both the Express and Duluth are tied.
Ooh.
They're tied.
Ooh.
Here's the dealio. So the Express are visiting Madison tonight. They're back at home at Carson against Madison tomorrow. Duluth will be taking on Rochester.
Go Honkers. And
here's the thing. The Honkers, 1.5 back from first
Ooh.
place. So if they sweep.
Drama.
And if some reason Madison decides to sweep Eau Claire, Rochester could win it.
Jeez.
So there you got it. We got
when you're a sports team, all you hope for is you get to the final couple of days of the regular season with the chance to win your division. And there's a lot of teams that can say that right now.
Yep. So the Express will be back at Carson Park tomorrow night. If you got nothing going on, make sure you pack the house and make that a home field advantage for the Express. The final 2 games of the regular season coming up here. And yes, drama.
So
a lot of scoreboard watching in these next couple days here. So you looking at my new schedule over there or what?
You're new scheduled up around here a little bit.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the I did have a Badger one, but I got confiscated by the little guy, so I got
get another one.
But yeah, so all right. I know tomorrow or next week we'll probably have a little bit more for the prep side with practice stuff.
Right.
We'll
have more underway,
such,
and we'll have actually scrimmages next Friday for 11 man. So
might have to check one of those
out. Duray Field and Chippewa will have Chippewa Falls, and Eau Claire North will be there. Northwestern and Sparta, I believe.
Okay.
The one I looked it up though. I think the one you like to talk about, the Medford Regis. I think that one's in Menominee this year.
Is it in Menominee?
If I remember correctly from what I see before, I'll check in the break and correct myself if not. But I believe that one, and Edgar, I believe is the other one. That's obviously 4 pretty high profile programs.
Wonder if Coach Sins will allow me to come on and check it out. I'll have to reach out. Makes sense though, because Coach Jacobson, who's the assistant at Menominee, is also a Medford graduate, so made a little connection.
Cover all the grounds.
Yep. Oh yeah, Jason was really good. Still fast, probably as all get out. So, all right, there you got it. Local sports roundup here this morning. Let's take a quick break. We'll get back to some more Brewers baseball talk. Wait. Jackson Cheerier just got another hit, by the way. Just got another hit. So there you go. We're going to take a quick break. We'll talk some more Brewers baseball coming up. If this wants to work for me, the computer. Why does it work some days, Brandon? Some days it doesn't. Kids. Hunting season is right around the corner, believe it or not. Felt a little hunting season this morning. You like this hoodie that I got?
I do, and it's almost like early bow season weather right now.
I know. This hoodie I got, Bass Pro Shops. Campfire, deer antlers, football, can of beer, season, it says under there.
All of it together.
It's my favorite season. But with hunting season around the corner, which means we're only a couple months away from deer gun season, you want to make sure that if you need that new deer rifle to get set for the season, go visit our good friends from Tilden Gun. And congrats to the gentleman, too. I don't know if I should be saying his name, so I won't, but who won the $500 gift card.
That was a hotly contested one. I know my friends were really interested in as well.
Yeah, I was hoping I could get the cold envelope, feeling from the
Oh, the Patrick Ewing envelope.
Yes, but no, if you are looking to upgrade your deer rifle for the upcoming season, or maybe a turkey shotgun or bird like for duck hunting or such, go visit our good friends Tilden Gun. You can also check out their website, tildengun.com. Tildengun.com. All right, Jackson Cheerio again, another hit right now. So I will go back to our preseason predictions, and one of them was, I remember one of them was, what was the question? Is Jackson Trio going to be a disappointment?
No, it was. I think it was for us. It was two separate things.
Okay.
One, it was we had our over under at batting average to Trio, which was 250. We both said under. I figured it was going to be around 240.
Yep.
And the other thing was just biggest disappointment in general.
Yep.
And I think you had said it, but with a caveat to it. It wasn't like he's going to suck, he's going to be terrible.
It was the perception was for a lot of people because of the bar was so high that people were going to be this. He is blowing it out of the water right now, Brandon.
Right.
It's not just been a month. We're going on month 3 now of what he is doing offensively at the plate.
Right. Since the start of June 1st, Jackson Trio's hitting 335, 380 on base, slugging 541. I mean, what do you say? Like at this point, if you want to look that, that average is 5th in baseball amongst all people that have had enough at bats. Obviously, the people in front of him: Bobby Witt Jr., who's having an awesome year with the Royals; Aaron Judge, who we know is awesome; Vlad Guerrero Jr., who's has really putting together a good year, and Yanir Diaz from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he is picked up at the time, and it's kind of the trajectory he's taken. It's kind of, I would say it's kind of predictable. Obviously, nobody here thought he would be doing what he's doing right now, but like he got off to a decent start, and then he struggled.
Yep.
He's 20 years old. Obviously, this gets brought up a lot, but you almost can't say it enough.
I think, but also with the pressure of that huge contract, right?
The pressure of that huge contract. You figure that, like, and I'd seen it, like, I wish I had his name in front of me, but a gentleman that does studies like prospects, does prospect work for pro baseball, had brought up the point that, like, to put this into perspective, he said on his list of top 500 prospects, Jackson Chourio is younger than 75% of them. Jackson Chourio, at the age of 20, most 20-year-olds are playing with, like, single A, or maybe if they're really good in advance, they're playing with the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers.
Yeah,
he is punishing major league pitching right now. Like if there's anyone at the start of the year that was kind of, maybe you don't know a lot about the minor leagues and all that stuff, and you're like, well, why are they giving this young guy, all this money? This is why, because you could see this at times throughout his minor league career, and you had to grade on a curve because he was going up against people that were 2, 3, 4, 5 years older than him.
Right.
He would be like a second or third year college player right now. Just think of that.
Think about that.
He could be like a sophomore at Duke.
Duke.
That's the first college I thought of for whatever reason. Or he could be a sophomore in Minnesota or Northwestern or LSU or wherever. If that was the path instead of he was an international signing.
So I'll go on this hill because I have the last couple of days. Why is he not getting more attention? He's not going to win it. Paul Skeens is going to win.
Barring something unforeseen, Paul Skeens will be your National League Rookie of the Year. And he's had a great year, so I'm not going to say that that's wrong.
But yesterday, I was looking at the odds. He had 8th best odds for National League Rookie of the Year. And I don't want to take away you had who's the shortstop from the Cardinals was on there.
Mason Wynn. I'm sure Shota Imanaga is on there. There's a lot there's been a lot of really there's been a lot of really good rookies this year. I think part of it was probably he got off to a slow start. Part of it's going to be, let's be honest, playing in Milwaukee.
But he's playing on a first place team.
He is. He is.
And he's a big factor why they're
now
in
he
first
is.
place.
Like if he continues this or a very similar trajectory, I think it'd be a much different conversation a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
But really, like you said, it's he was there opening day. First couple weeks were good, and then he had a month.
Because there was talk, would they send him down because Pat Murphy benched him a little bit.
And I think you could give them a lot of credit for the approach they took
mm-hmm.
because they could have. And what they did was, if you look at kind of his games played in May, he had a stretch where he didn't play very much. And I think that kind of gave him a chance to reset and work on things. Pro sports and especially baseball, it's a constant tinkering game.
He said at that time too, he's got to learn to be a pro.
Yeah.
And he talked about like preparing and
listening to Willie Adames, William Contreras,
like the BP beforehand.
Yeah, those guys, Christian Yelich. Like listen, from what everyone said, he's been very good at that. Just kind of like listening, taking it all in. Okay, these are pros. These are pros playing at a high level. What do they do? How do they conduct themselves? That kind of stuff. And it speaks to not only the talent but the makeup. Because if you're in that spot, if you're getting paid that money and you get off to a slow start, it'd be easy to get frustrated and get down on yourself. And I'm sure he was frustrated, but it never showed.
Right.
You never saw signs of slamming bats or throwing helmets or anything like that. And that just he seems like he's someone that's kind of wise beyond his years a little bit. Like he's 20, but he kind of conducts himself like he's like 28.
Right. Yeah. The cool thing, and it might be minor, but I don't think I've ever seen him not with a big smile on his face, whether he's walking up to the plate or when he makes a catch in the outfield. He's got this big grin, and I get life is pretty good in baseball right now for him.
Yes.
But the kid is having a good fun out there where, how many times we've seen examples of a 20-year-old who gets a huge payday and maybe doesn't live up to it or struggles or
just a young player in general that the pressure, the stress kind of gets to him. And look, there's going to be times he struggles again. Like it's not like he's just this is who he is for the next 10 years. But if he was the fact that he worked through it at 20, has to bode well for when it happens again that he can work through it. Because if nothing else, he can look back and say, look, this is I've struggled before. Baseball's a struggling sport. Like you get to the end of the year, if someone's hitting 300, I guarantee you they were a 300 hitter all 6 months.
Right.
1 month or 2 months, they probably hit like 210 or 220. You have great months, you have bad months.
Right. It's and I love the dynamic that it looks like sometimes he has with Willie Adames, like when he'll hit a home run and he comes off and Willie won't high five him, but it's all it's that sort of dynamic,
kind of like the older brother dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a much needed one too without Christian Yelich in that lineup. Do you think he's gotten better as a defender too? Because that was one of his things.
I think he's just gotten more comfortable, and I know the advanced metrics really like his work. And we saw earlier in the year, he played back. He didn't look comfortable at times, and there's still going to be some times where maybe he doesn't, but it's all there. And I think that's kind of the thing that maybe as a defender, comes last is just the instincts, because the physical skill, the speed, the arm, it's all there. A guy I think of that he was more sudden than fast, but a guy that was an awesome defender because he got such good reads was Lorenzo Cain. Lorenzo Cain could run, but it wasn't like he was, 99th percentile fast.
Right.
He was just so good at getting
that first jump,
his first step. Like his first step was always a good one. Like Mike Cameron's another one. Guys that, they were fast, but they weren't like a Billy Hamilton. If you remember Billy Hamilton when he played, he was ridiculously fast, but maybe didn't have quite the instincts those guys have.
Right.
If you can, get to that place where he combines those instincts with the athletic ability he already has, then you have something truly special. That was like a Ken Griffey Jr. as far as a defender where, he was fast, he was tall, he had such great long strides, but he had the instincts. Like he knew like, okay, balls off the bat. Okay. That's left center. Okay. Balls off the bat. That's, that's up, that's back.
Yep.
There were no false steps with him.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Cause I was listening to the broadcast the other day and they talked about, how Churio is great in left field, and then they mentioned it works out really well because Frelick is graded better in right field than he is in left field. And right now, this lineup without Yelich defensively is it's
stellar. Then you factor in Blake Perkins and Garrett Mitchell. And Garrett Mitchell, I will give him a lot of credit because he is, he's off to a really good start. He's, now that he's getting to play, coming back from the injury, hitting third in the lineup. I like that right now because I like the against righties, it's, Turang, Churio, Mitchell. I like that that's a ton of speed in front of Adames and Contreras.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're going to have guys, I'm sure they love it because if they got a guy, even if they got a guy on first base, you hit one in the gap, they're probably scoring.
Right.
And I give Garrett Mitchell a lot of credit because he has cut his strikeouts down.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of days haven't been great, but he's cut his strikeouts down to where, it was in the kind of almost venturing into that almost Keston Hiura territory
Mm-hmm.
where, man, you really got to be working to make your non-strikeouts work. But he's dropped it. And I know a while back, Kurt Hogue had a really good piece in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel about Garrett Mitchell laying off high fastballs and how that was kind of his kryptonite. He would swing through them. He couldn't square them up. He's done a better job of just laying off them. So pitchers have to give him something else that he can get.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It's Blake Perkins. What was it? What catch did he make? Like it's almost casual. And I think he almost did like a Jordan shrug. It felt like when
I got it.
Yeah, he just kind of like a little bit right there. I was like, but I love watching him in the field.
Yeah, he is of that group. He's the best defender. And look, he's the most experienced too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's probably the best instinctual run right now. 3 years that might be difference. When you get you hope that Mitchell or Frelick or Churio kind of get that point where they're playing full time and you can kind of continue to build in those instincts.
It was the other day too. I kind of joked, but you'd appreciate this too. That lineup that Murphy threw out there, I think it was game 2, or maybe it was game 1 of this series, where it looked like a slow pitch softball. We're just going to draw names out of a hat. Like Reese Hoskins was at 2.
I think it was game 2. I think when they were going up against Chris Sale.
Yeah, like Hoskins was batting in a 2 spot, and then
because it was they're going up against the lefty, so it wasn't the lefty lineup. I think they're still trying to figure out a little bit. The righty one I mentioned with that top 3, and it just makes everybody better because you can move. You can have a guy like Hoskins hitting near the bottom where he can still hit home runs. You got Sal Frelick down there, Joey Ortiz, who's starting to come on again. I don't believe that there's any sort of like magic potion of or magic recipe for well, if you put this person here and here, suddenly your lineup's going to score 10 runs a game.
Right.
But I like that. I kind of just like how it's situated right now. And obviously that. That Brave series, you're going to feel all kinds of good coming out of that just because of how much they hit the ball. And it was everybody. I mean, obviously Churio had a great series, but so did Willie Adames, so did William Contreras, so did Joey Ortiz, so did Eric Haas and Gary Sanchez.
Well, Blake Perkins had 3 hits the one game.
It's
some big RBIs in that
It's
game.
easy to put the lineup out when everybody's hitting. It's tough when nobody is. That's...
I think Terang might have been the only one yesterday who didn't get a hit out of the 20.
Right.
Andrew
Monasterio's drawn a bunch of walks recently. It's just that's just kind of how it's been.
Right. And, they can continue this. They can be a little bit more patient with Yelich, right, to try to push him back with this. So
right.
And I don't know if they are or if they would, but it's...
right. And I think we always kind of knew for the outfield, those 4, they're just going to rotate. That's fine. You're probably going to see Blake Perkins in there more against lefties and either Mitchell or Frelick out. And against righties, it's going to, Perkins may, just, sit the bench, maybe be a defensive replacement late if you want to go roll an at bat or whatever. But it's really fun to talk about. It's really easy to talk about when everybody's hitting like they were in that Brave series.
Yeah, no kidding. I got a couple more questions I want to ask you, but we're running out of time here at the top of the hour. Looking ahead to this Red series and potentially DL Hall's return to this. Maybe that start on Sunday. So I'll take a look at that. And then Aaron Savali. I want to talk a little bit about him too. So we'll hit up more Brewers chats. We're going to do a little cream of the crop coming up next hour. Forgot this for my cream of the crop last week. We had some good ones there. So I'm going to mention it this week. I think we're actually going to lead off the next hour with a little cream of the crop.
Sounds good. Now, I'm actually off air going to double check with you because I have a couple possibilities. I just want to make sure we're not.
Mine's a baseball.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. All right. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to surprise you. Good. So, all right. 2 in. We got 1 more to go. Stick around. We got some news updates, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Third and final hour kicking off on this Friday morning of August 9th. A big thanks to all of you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. We're going to get back to some more baseball talk coming up here. We've got, do your Vikings play tomorrow?
They do.
Okay.
But actually, I think it's the same time as the Packers.
Okay.
They host the Raiders.
Ooh.
I think it's 3:00. So.
All right. So we had a couple games last night with the Patriots and Panthers, and then the Giants and Lions in action last night. Hooker, I mean, his first appearance, and then he gets a concussion. I mean, God, he makes his pro debut after last year.
At the age of 36. No.
But you feel bad for the
You
guy.
do.
So
Had the knee injury last year.
Yep. So
yeah, hopefully he's all right.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I mean, concussion. Maybe he doesn't play the rest of the You hate to say that. Who knows though?
Right.
So
It'll only be in 3 games.
Yep. Exactly. So we'll throw a little football chat in here too. We're gonna lead off though with a little cream of the crop. You go first there, big guy.
I mean, one of us has to bring it up. And now that I know you're not going to, I gladly will. Kenny Bednarik.
Oh yeah,
Another
yep.
silver yesterday in the 200,
Mhm.
second straight Olympics, taking silver in the 200. I mean, just what can you say? I mean, it's obviously anyone that's from around here, that name.
Mhm.
Like, it's just one of those things that, like, something I've really noticed with like sports. Like, obviously in high school, a lot of times your people are very territorial.
Yeah.
But if there's a truly great athlete and, maybe you compete against them or whatever, once they leave, that kind of goes away. This one, I mean, you've got somebody from the Triple Valley, from the greater Northwest there that, not only went to the Olympics, but is a 2-time medalist.
Yeah.
Individually. He's running again today in the 4x1 finals. So
That's right.
I think it's a little afternoon. So if you want to check that out, I'm sure you can find it on TV somewhere. But I mean, to be able to see that, like, and even for me and like what I do, there's just certain things you remember, when you see certain athletes. Like, I remember watching Sam Decker up close when Sheboygan Area Lutheran played McDonald in the D5 state semis in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Remember seeing Henry Ellenson up close when he was at Rice Lake. Like, there's just those certain athletes, watching Sam Stang play, hockey or baseball. Like, Kyle Cody pitching, he's in AAA with the San Francisco Giants. Like, there's certain things that stick in your head. And for me, the one that always sticks in my head with Kenny, and I forget the year, it might have been his junior year of high school. I forget which, but he was running the 4x4, which is, as you don't know, it's 4 people each making 1 lap.
Yep.
4-lap race.
I dominated one of those in 8th grade. Kenny Bednarik style. No, I'm just kidding.
And he was running, it was either the second or the third leg. I don't remember which. So when he got the baton, they were in last place. By the time he made his lap around, they were in first place. Like, to watch when you watch someone that is, and remember, these were Division II state athletes. These were all great athletes that made it to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But to see someone, like, it looked like he was going at 1.5 speed. Like, he was just blowing by people. It looked like if he was playing like Super Mario Kart, he got the star. He's just and he's just going, like, and you just hear the crowd, just like when you're at state track, you can have like 6 or 7 different events going on when you factor in what's going on in the infield. If you get the throws, like, but you can tell when everybody's watching one thing,
mm-hmm.
and everybody was watching that, and you just hear like it's almost like an accelerated in the crowd, like when you see this, and like, sometimes different people will do different things when they see someone do something like that. If I'm at an event and I see that, I'll start laughing, because to me it's just so preposterous to see someone who is just this
head and shoulders
talented.
above.
Like, I did it when Brooklyn Sandvig was at Chippewa, like, and she would dominate all her sprints. It's just like, at some point, what do you do when everyone just wins all the time and they do it like this? And like, to see him do that, it was always a little bit different. Like when he ran his individual races, the 1, the 2, the 4, like, he would just get out front right away and stay out front. Like,
mm-hmm.
When you see that perspective of like, here is how fast he is, where he was, 2-3 seconds behind somebody, and by the time he gets around, he's 2-3 seconds ahead of everybody. It's just greatness that you don't see a lot, and you need to make sure you recognize when you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good
and
one there.
to be the top American in that race, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beating out Lyles to do it.
I was gonna say this.
To be able to do that, just I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a kind of a sense of pride for this area, when you see that, you should.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Did you have another one?
No, well, I mean, the other one I was going to bring up was Jackson Churigo.
Oh, okay.
So, but we kind of touched on that anyway.
Yep.
But that was one I was going to bring up and say, just obviously with what we alluded to earlier, with the heater he's on right now.
Mm-hmm. Mine is from the baseball world. I think to kind of lead into it, we got to do a little throwback with this individual from about 8 years. So you can listen to this, and I'll see if you can. It's kind of a sound test if you can remember this individual. If it's gonna work. Remember the laugh?
Oh, Brett Phillips.
Brett Phillips. Dude's back in the league potentially as a pitcher for the Yankees.
Yeah.
The outfielder.
With an absolute can of an 80 grade arm.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it when he played in the outfield.
Oh, yeah.
The arm strength. But now, he had a video where he was like clocked at 97, so he signed a minor league deal with the Yankees now.
I'm a little bummed that the Brewers didn't do that, because
I know.
It'd be funny to see him maybe taking a trip to their pitching lab. But
yeah, but I mean, I think Brett Phillips, every Brewers fan loved Brett Phillips.
Right. He was like, just the personality. Like, obviously, there were the stories. Like, he actually growing up in Florida, he was neighbors with Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes. Yep. I remember you've mentioned that a few times,
Yeah,
which is perfect for cream of the crop.
Exactly. So that's a good one. That's very cool. Like, it would be cool to see that kind of happen. And that's something you'll see these days with like pitchers coming out, like, the independent leagues and stuff like that. Like, and the Brewers have had some at times too, where, like, for the most part, most position players, like, they kind of come through the minors and then they get to the majors. Like, you don't see that route go often there, but you do with like pitchers, because like a reliever or something that just for whatever reason it clicks for them. Like, you see it all the time. Pitchers and like relievers in like their upper 20s, maybe lower 30s, that don't have a lot of mileage on their arm, like, make it.
Right. So I hope he goes through it, and I hope he
would love to see
succeeds.
it,
That's so cool, and it's Brett Phillips, and I've always loved Brett Phillips.
One of those people very easy to cheer for.
Yes, exactly. I think everybody was pumped whenever he was up and playing in the big leagues, and then how many guys remember when he was with the Brewers and they clocked him at one of his throws from the outfield was like way over 100 miles an hour, or something like that. I mean,
it was like one of his first games. I thought he threw like somebody out, like someone just trying to test it, and he was like, nope.
Yep, not today.
His own version of the Lorenzo Kane, not today.
Yep. So had to throw in Brett Phillips in there, which is just perfect too. I actually forgot about the Macho Man, that he was neighbors, and then cream of the crop. So it all works out. It all works out. So, speaking of the Brewers, so they've got this series with the Reds starting tonight. Aaron Savali, he hasn't. I mean, I guess if we break it down by month, his July month had a lower ERA than any other month so far this year. It was still 4.29, but knowing that if they get to the postseason, about 4-man rotation, they kind of go down. We know Freddie's going to be one of them. Colin Ray's more than likely going to be one of them. Tobias Myers, probably the other. So basic math tells me it's either Aaron Savali, it's Frankie Montas, or could it be a DL Hall?
Or maybe they treat it as a bullpen game.
Or as a bullpen game. Let's start with Aaron Savali. How big are his last few starts coming up here? I mean, I want to see more from this guy. I want to see more.
Yeah, gigantic. Because right now, I think the only guys that are on firm ground in the rotation are the guys you mentioned. Peralta, Peralta, it hasn't been, I'm sure, what he was looking for either, but he still has the most upside of anybody. If someone were to tell you 2 months from now that Freddie Peralta threw 7 scoreless innings in the playoffs, I don't think people would be that surprised, because it's there. And that's part of the reason, his struggles have been frustrating, is because we've seen the top end of what Freddie Peralta can do.
Right.
But the 3 guys that are on pretty firm footing for a potential playoff rotation are the guys you mentioned: Peralta and Myers and Colin Ray.
Yep.
And so what do you do with that 4th spot? Yeah, you can. There's a couple different directions to go. I'm sure best case scenario for them is some starter, be it any of those guys you mentioned, just takes hold, pitches an awesome final 2 months, and he's the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if that doesn't happen, I could see them maybe doing a bullpen type game where you throw out Rob Zastresny out there for an inning, or you know whoever, and then you go to Bryce Wilson for a couple, or Joe Ross for a couple. Like you could do that with a spot in the rotation in the postseason, just because you have more built-in off days. Every time every time you change locations in the series, you have an off day.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do it. But for Savali, it's huge. Like, he was brought in here to be that guy, ideally.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work for him when he was pitching in Tampa. He pitched really well with Cleveland. It's just a matter of kind of getting him back to that.
Right.
And that's a process, because right now, you mentioned his numbers for July, but just in general, his numbers with the Brewers have not been great. He's got an ERA, I think, like 5.40, which is actually worse than, it's only 5 starts, but that's worse than what he had when he was in Tampa. You're looking for him. Last year when he was with Cleveland before he got traded to the Rays, he had an ERA of 3.53. Whip of just over 1. That's really good.
Yeah, we would take that in a heartbeat right now.
Absolutely. He would be in that conversation with Myers and Ray as the people that are pitching the best so far in the rotation. But yeah, he just got to get back to that. And it's him. I think it's the strikeouts have been okay. The walks are up a little bit. He's been bit by the home run ball. And that's something that's bit different people in the past. Obviously, it's bitten Freddie Peralta. It's bitten Colin Ray earlier on in his time with Milwaukee. So, that's something you can figure out. You got to be working more of the corners and less of the heart of the plate, making mistakes. But yeah, for Savali, these are big starts, because if it continues at some point, especially once you get to September, you just might get moved into like their bullpen, because you'll remember you can add a pitcher and a hitter in September. So he just might get moved into almost a bit more of a mop-up role if that's the case.
Yeah. So it sounds like maybe DL Hall could get that start on Sunday. It's a TBD, but it kind of lines up that DL Hall could finally make his return. I mean, it's been since April since we've seen him. And, whether it's kind of an opening situation when he starts, but it's only a couple innings of that. But you look at what he did with the Baltimore Orioles. I was going to say Oilers for Houston again. I keep saying
him and
that.
Warren Moon were great friends.
But you look at what he did last year in September, and how big of a player he was down the stretch for Baltimore last year. I got to imagine the Brewers are kind of hoping for something like. And he was he only pitched bullpen.
He was in the bullpen, but down the stretch in the playoffs, he was electric for them.
And I mean, that would be a welcome sight.
It would.
I would have to imagine.
That's the thing with DL Hall too. Like, ideally, you want to be a starter, because pretty much everybody, you want to be a starter, because a good starter, you're impacting more innings, because starters pitch more innings than relievers. But if it works out where say Savali works out and they've got other guys that are working in that, they feel good about that rotation, you want to deploy DL Hall. I hate to bring up this comparison because there's really not many people like him, but if you want to try to utilize him, how the Brewers utilized Josh Hader earlier on, where he was a two inning guy in like the 6th inning. If you're facing the top of the order, you could, because he has that top end stuff, and his stuff is going to play up a little bit more in the bullpen, because he's going to be able to empty the tank a little bit more, because he's throwing 2 innings versus trying to get through 5 or 6.
Right.
So you've got options, and suddenly you can do that with him. You can do that with Brian Hudson. Like, you have the pieces for the puzzle there now. Now getting Devin Williams back, you hope that at least at some point this year you get a chance to see all of these bullpen pieces together at the same time.
Right.
Because that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Because if you do, my goodness, that has all the makings of another kind of, I'll call it Frankenstein bullpen, because you can piece together a heck of a monster.
That's you and your analogies, man. Well done there. So, because it seems like the Joe Ross starting, he's coming out of the bullpen the last couple days.
But I think that's a good spot for him, because you look at his numbers with the Brewers.
He's good through like one.
The first time through the order, he's done well. It's the second, the third time, and that that allows him to play up. If you want to go as him and Bryce Wilson as kind of twin 2-3 inning guys, I like that. I like them in that spot. I think that's putting them in the best position to succeed.
Right. Yeah, I do too. So, I know I'm guilty of it. Probably a lot of fans looking at next week's 7 games with the Dodgers and then Cleveland, and right after that's on the road against the Cardinals. Can't overlook the Reds though at home.
No.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about how great the Brewers were at home, and then they lose to the Marlins and Atlanta over there too. This is a chance for them, the longest homestand of this season, 10 games in a row here, to kind of recapture that home
Yep.
You
Make
know,
use of it.
exactly. So we're about 70% of the way through the season,
We
almost
are.
to the final quarter.
We're almost to that. Yeah. To the
After next week, we are
the
halfway
final
through.
leg of the 4x4.
Yeah, there you
To
go.
reference that from earlier. But yeah, we're getting down to it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll talk some football, a little preseason action coming up after these few words. Preseason football in action. Well, it's already in action, but in terms of the green and gold.
The teams that matter play tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. We know some of the starters will be playing for the Packers. I don't know if Jordan Love now is going to. They said they were going to, but then there was a little bit of like, yesterday at practice. Looked like he had hurt his knee and such, but looks like he was okay and such. But you have to wonder, okay, if he did ding it up a little bit, are they going to throw him out there tomorrow? So I guess it remains to be seen at this point. But some starters are going to play. We threw out the question, who are you looking for? What are you looking for and such? Surveyor had said a little bit earlier. Good morning, DK, and every listener. Players I'm looking forward to seeing are the safety Bullard, corner Kalen King, and Marshawn Lloyd. So when it comes to preseason games, though, I hope nobody pays attention to wins or losses unless you're a kid. That's fine. If you're a kid, you don't really know, right? What?
I was saying the only other person I've ever heard reference wins and losses in preseason football is Mike Zimmer. He liked to talk about who he had a really good record in preseason.
Did he really? I don't remember that.
He brought it up a few times. And I like Mike Zimmer even, with the way things ended with Minnesota, but that was always just kind of funny to me. Like they for a while they had like
is Baltimore still on that streak? Are they undefeated?
I don't know. You have to look and see because they had that long streak of just win.
I got to see if they're still on that streak. The Ravens won a record 24 straight preseason games dating back to 2016. It did end. It did end. Okay. Darn it. We could have had that.
You could have been there for the streak snapping.
Stupid Commanders won it 29-28.
Bums.
It's probably the only highlight from the Commanders last year. So
that and Daniel Snyder leaving.
That's true.
That's the highlight of all highlights, and
those
fans should celebrate that.
So when it comes to preseason, what is it that you watch for? What is it that you look for, just in a general sense?
Number one, I look to make sure that nobody significant got injured.
Yeah,
that's always the big thing.
Injuries. Yep.
It depends. Depending on the draft. Like obviously, as a Viking fan, I'm gonna be watching JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's your first chance to view those draft picks. So
here's the thing too: is like if he continues to ball out, like apparently he has been, that pressure is going to be out there. Like start him.
It's going to be interesting to see how they handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. I mean, it's especially if they get off to a slow start.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to start fast and Sam Darnold play well, then it's easy to kind of ignore the noise.
Right.
But if they started 1-4, and people saw say he does well in preseason, and just looks like he knows what he's doing, which sounds like a low bar to clear, but not a lot of rookie quarterbacks always clear that bar.
Mm-hmm.
Then that noise may ratchet up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at the rookies, and even Surveyor had mentioned obviously a few of the Packers rookies he's looking at. So
right.
You want to see that first bang. And there's always training camp darlings. Your Lindsey Pipkins award winners.
Yep.
Those people that you hear about in training camp, like, okay, now what does it look like on the field? Like for the Vikings, it could be a guy like Levi Drake Rodriguez, who was a 7th-round defensive tackle draft pick that's done some good things, or Theo Jackson, who's kind of a guy that's been on the team for a little bit and has really made some noise this year. Like, you're looking to see, okay, are those training camp heroes? Is it hype or is there substance to it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to go very far back on the Vikings end of thing to people singing the praises of Kyle Sloter, third-string quarterback in the preseason, ultimately didn't amount to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing about preseason. You get those kind of 2 or 3 weeks of, legends in the wind.
Let me remind some Packers fans of last year's preseason, some of the talk heading out of this thing. So one of them was Carrington Valentine, another Lindsey Pipkins Award watch person that had a pretty solid season. But I tend to remember after preseason and leaking into the regular season, the calls for one Sean Clifford to be the starting quarterback for the for the Green Bay Packers. Okay, remember that this year again when you go into preseason and individual performances, especially when it's the quarterback position, right? Because Sean Clifford, he's got a gunslinging mentality. He likes to throw, which there's nothing wrong with that, But let's not overreact to stuff we see in the preseason too.
Correct.
There's that example from last year. You remember it, I'm sure. I remember it, of the calls to play Sean Clifford over Jordan Love. Take a deep breath. when it comes to preseason stuff. All right, let's take a deep breath and don't overreact to too much from what you see. Remember, they don't scheme. They're not going to open up their playbook.
They're very vanilla.
Yes. Especially, I will caution this to you Packers fans when it comes to the defense. When you're watching against the Browns or Denver or Baltimore, I'll be at the Baltimore one. Your defense, if it's like, oh, wow, they're not coming up with any exotic pressures or doing any of this, I don't want to hear that on Monday.
Right.
I don't want to hear that on Monday, okay? If you're going to gripe about how the defense, if you want to say, hey, disappointed in so-and-so, from an individual standpoint, maybe they got their butts whooped or something like that on a one-on-one, okay. But if you're going to complain about there was no creativity, don't want to hear you.
Nobody's going to have any creativity.
Nobody is going to have any creativity or open up their playbook when it comes to the preseason, okay? So don't overreact to that. Don't, please. I'm begging you. If you're listening right, please don't. I know some people are, but please don't. Don't go down that Twitter black hole.
Don't make Dan sad.
I don't know if it's sad.
Disappointed?
Maybe better
Closer
word.
to okay.
Yeah, that's closer. So just please remember the bigger picture here, okay? Just remember that. Because preseason, remember the year that the Lions went winless? Didn't they go undefeated in preseason? I think that was the year too.
Yeah.
So that's just chill. It's okay. Woosah.
Goosefaba.
Woosah. So, no, but I think, the big thing is, this is why I love preseason, though, is because you get to see these youngsters. You see bottom-end roster guys. Because I always had this mindset, Brandon, this is a chance to see these guys get extended playing time because you know what? If their number gets called upon in the regular season, you know a little bit about them. You've seen them in action. You're like, oh, okay, I remember this guy. Instead of like, who the heck is that guy? You get a little bit of a sense of what they can do or what they bring to the table. Carrington Valentine being the example last year, where he had a fantastic preseason. His number ends up getting called to play a lot because of injuries, and we were a little familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
We use that. That's where and then just to see who's that guy. It's a little bit different for Green Bay this year because they only have like 8 undrafted rookie free agents.
Yeah, it was a bigger draft class itself. It's kind of the opposite of the Vikings, where the Vikings didn't have any draft picks, but they had a big UFDA play.
Right.
Your
And
UDFA class.
that's what happens too with Green Bay having already a very young roster.
Right. You can only do so much on that. You can't have a 90-man roster of 80 guys in their first or second year.
Right. So whereas the Chargers, I think, had like 20, 30 some undrafted that they signed to fill out their 90-man. So, yeah. So that's the things I look to. So, but we'll see. It'll be our first glimpse for a lot of these youngsters. It'll be a first glimpse for a lot of people in this new 4-3 base defense, and I'm sure there's going to be some people with opinions about it afterwards, whether it's good or bad. But just please remember, please remember.
Grain of salt.
Yes. We're not seeing the whole picture. Okay? I'm going to keep saying that.
If anyone's emptying their bag in preseason, I can't help you.
Trying to think who is like the ultimate this would have been a good one to go for a while.
Yeah.
The ultimate preseason, like best preseason player of all time, the GOAT of preseason
I
football.
do know who has the highest quarterback rating among not just but of people that have played a fair amount. Because I see it get brought up a few times.
Do I know this person?
You might. He played with the Vikings.
Okay.
He played around the league. He played with like the Dolphins, with the Texans, and this was like mid to late 2000s into 2010s. I've seen it because I follow him on some social medias, and he'll joke about it because he'll joke about being the best preseason quarterback of all time, in jest. He was the let's put it this way: when the first year Favre was in Minnesota, it was Favre, Tavares Jackson,
Rosenfeld,
Sage Rosenfeld.
Wow. Okay.
Iowa State grad.
All right.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because yes, he's joked about that, because whatever his rating is in the preseason, that he is the best in jest, the best quarterback in the history of preseason.
Interesting. All right. Well,
between that and that one play where he got helicoptered and lost football, that's usually about 90% of what people talk about with Sage.
The non-John Elway.
The anti-John Elway.
The anti-John Elway. So I want to see if I can, according to, okay. Yeah, we got certain seasons. I'm trying to find who's the best in preseason of all time. Because like Brett Hundley had a ridiculous quarterback rating for Green Bay. I remember in the preseason. Like he was like pretty darn solid. But okay, here's a Reddit forum. Who's the best preseason player of all time? Well, this should be good. Yeah, I don't think these are serious answers over there. All right, I'll have to do some digging. Maybe I can find something like that. Yeah, here's an article. It's funny you said that now. This is from 538. Sage Rosenfels. This is from 2019. Sage Rosenfels was the Tom Brady of the NFL preseason.
Bam.
Okay. Oh, here we go. The NFL's best preseason passer since 2000. Okay, so this is from 2019. It's a few years old, but gives us a good glimpse.
Yeah.
Sage, 81.2 in the regular season, but in the preseason, 93.6. Any guess on who number 2 is?
Oh, from that time frame.
Let me give you some.
I'll say, give me some hints.
Give you some hints here. So he was drafted in the 2004 NFL draft.
Okay.
By the Cleveland Browns in the 4th round. I should play some hold on.
Rohan Davey.
No.
LSU quarterback.
Do I have any background music?
Okay, 2004 4th round Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Ooh.
He has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. He's been with 7 franchises.
Okay.
Did I tell you where he played college ball?
No.
Louisiana Tech.
Oh, Luke McCown?
Yeah.
The Louisiana Tech got it.
Luke McCown, number 2 on this list.
The other McCown.
Yep. Yeah. Number 3 is Billy Volek.
Yeah, Titans legend. Titans and Chargers legend.
So number 4 is actually a dude that has been around for a little bit. Got some good money as being a backup for a while.
Is he still active?
No. Recently retired. He's got a new gig right now in media.
I know it. Chase Daniel.
Yes. Look at you. Bruce Gradkowski is number 5.
Yes.
Number 6. If he would have played the rest of the game in the 2010-2011 NFC Championship game, would he have led the Bears to victory? Todd Collins.
Todd Collins played a long time in the NFL.
He did. Number 7 is Jimmy Garoppolo. So we got a fairly regular starter here. Where is Jimmy G now?
Is he anywhere?
He's somewhere. Isn't that sad? Like Jimmy G was the guy the last few years. Now he's a backup somewhere. Where did he go? He is with. Oh, he's with the Rams.
That's right. He's back with the Rams. Yeah.
Think about the fall of Jimmy G. There's a Netflix documentary coming soon.
He'll be fine.
Colt McCoy's 8. Kelly Holcomb 9. I want to see if you can get number 10. He is a former Minnesota Viking playoff quarterback.
Joe Webb?
Yeah!
Joe Webb! The second you said playoff quarterback, I'm like, okay, this is okay. It's going to be somewhat obscure. He did start that 2013 wildcard loss to the Packers.
He did. He sure did.
He tried.
I remember because I was at that game, and I remember, I think I was with my buddy Tim, and there's like people like, oh crap, running quarterback, and
they never ran him. Bill Musgrave. I'm still mad about that. The first drive they ran him, they went down the field to kick the field goal, and then they're like, nope, we're gonna turn him into Jeff George and throw from the pocket. I'm like, what are you doing? They should have thrown like 6 times. Adrian Peterson, 35 carries. Joe Webb, 25 carries. If you lose, so be it.
Yeah, that was Adrian Peterson's MVP.
That was his MVP year.
Yep. Number 11, Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah.
AJ Feely, number 12. Remember the AJ Feely craze for like a hot minute?
Dolphins, Eagles.
Was he with the Browns for
Might have been.
a little bit there? Josh Johnson, 13.
Is it the amount of teams he's played with, or
This guy, number 14, no passes. Everybody else has thrown a pass in the regular season. This guy didn't throw a single pass in the regular season, but he's got the 14th best uh, rating in preseason.
okay? Where did he go to college?
Let me look it up for you because I got to double check.
I'm gonna try to guess this now because this is.
I'm gonna Let's.
How obscure can we go?
Tulane.
Oh. The first two names I thought of, one of them is the guy that the Packers got, and the other one was Sean King, who played for the Tampa Bay.
Well, it's funny you say Tampa Bay. He did play for Tampa Bay this is what's mind-boggling. He was in the NFL. So he was with Tampa Bay, his second team, for 7 years.
He never played in a regular season game. Who was his other team?
The Saints. 2013 to 2014. Tampa Bay from 15 to 22. And now he is with the Scorpions Varese in the Italian Football League.
Nice. Wow. I'm going to slap myself in the head when I hear this. I give up.
So this might actually, okay, so remember this article was in 2019?
Yep.
He has thrown since 2019 in the NFL, but he's got a career 18 passing yards.
Okay, but yeah, no.
So it is Ryan Griffin.
Okay, I've heard of the name, but I would never.
Yeah.
I've never would have guessed it.
I've never. That's why I had to
Okay.
it. So 15. The former first round pick. That didn't amount to anything. I can't say the team because then you know.
Can you say the year he was drafted?
Yes, because I don't want to say the college.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
That would give it away too. It was in 2013.
EJ Manuel?
Yeah, look at you. Not a boy.
This is my wheelhouse.
Drew Stanton, 16.
Yeah.
Another first round pick at number 17. He's a little bit more known. I mean, he was really well known in college. Obviously a first round pick. Better career as a sports media guy now.
RG3?
Nope.
Can you say the year?
I should know this one off the top of my head. Okay, I'll give you this hint. I wanted Green Bay to draft him. And I'm glad they didn't.
Wow.
I feel like if I give you
because I'm trying. Does that mean he was drafted like the same time as Rodgers?
So he was drafted in 07.
Okay. 07. Man.
You're gonna hit yourself after
I know I am.
Can I tell you now?
In the interest of time, yeah.
AJ Hawk's brother-in-law. Brady Quinn. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Brady Quinn.
Okay, yep.
Then to wrap it up, Trent Edwards. Remember Trent Edwards?
I kept Trent Edwards in the keeper league once in fantasy football. I thought Trent Edwards went to Stanford. I thought he was going to be something.
Yep.
He was not.
No. Buffalo Bills back in the day.
Yep.
Matthew McGloin at 19. And then number 20, another Bear, Shane Matthews.
Veteran.
Yep.
Wiley veteran Shane Matthews.
Yep. There you have it. Now I'm sure this is probably a little bit different. So we'll see. But yeah. Oh, that's fun. All right, we got to take a break and we'll do some picks and predicts to finish up this program after these few words. So I just saw this as a little bit later, but Chichi Rodriguez passing away. The golfer, former golfer Chichi Rodriguez, sword fighting with.
I said that's what I always think of. I'm gonna be hitting up some golf tomorrow morning before a wedding, so I'll make sure if I do make a putt that I will honor Chichi.
Chichi Rodriguez. How 88, passing away at the age of 88.
That's a life well lived.
Yep. So, all right, let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place here in Eau Claire. Reminder, too, that starting next week, the 14th, if you go to our website at sportstalk1051.com and click on the Fan Cave tab, you can start to make some pro football picks.
Yeah.
It's going to be that season.
I got to remember to do it every week this year because I would always do it like 4 weeks at a time, and then I would forget.
Yeah. I'm still debating. Should we do a fantasy football league? Here's the thing. I'm not going to start it unless I get a bunch of yeses, committed yeses.
Right.
Because I don't want to get to a point like, oh, crap, I need 2 more.
Yes.
So what would you say, 12 or 16?
To me, minimum's 12.
Okay.
Like, you make it worth the while for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
How about this? If we get 16.
Okay. And I'm in. I'll do it.
All right. So if we get some yays, let me know. And then before we go, we're crowning a champ for our bracket. The most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time, as nominated by the listeners and is voted on by the listeners. You don't like it? You should have voted. So let's do some picks and predicts first, though. Brewers, how many wins in this series against the Reds?
I'm going to say they take 2. They carry over the momentum. They're missing Hunter Green, who pitched last night.
Yep.
So I'm going to say they take 2 of 3.
I will go with 2 out of 3 in this one as well. So get some momentum and get ready for that Dodger series
and that Cleveland series.
Cleveland too.
Big week next week.
Yep. Is your buddy going to won tickets?
He did. Yeah, one of our group. He won one of the baskets with like Bloody Mary stuff.
Yeah.
And then he won the tickets to the Guardians game.
Yep. Take the Bloody Mary stuff to the Guardians game.
There you go. It's a day.
Cleveland, Minnesota could go.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Minnesota too.
And Minnesota, it's a big one. If the Twins, I'm gonna say the Twins take 2 or 3.
Cleveland. Oh, Cleveland. I'm sorry, Twins. I'm going Cleveland. Let's go with. I think this could be an interesting one too. Houston at Boston.
Yes. I'm gonna go Houston 2 out of 3. Boston's a little bit scuffly lately, so I'm gonna go Houston.
I'm gonna go Houston in this one too, man. St. Louis at Kansas City. That's a good one too.
And that's only 2, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna go Kansas City. Takes them both.
Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. help out the Brewers. Pittsburgh at the Dodgers. I mean Dodgers, right?
I would take the Dodgers. Yeah. You're not gonna have us pick preseason football, are you?
Don't just wait. Philadelphia at Arizona. Arizona's hot right now.
They are
hot right now.
And I'll take Arizona 2 or 3.
We're looking at this series coming up here for the Brewers. If we take a little peek at the schedule in September, Arizona, Philly, Arizona.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, who we'll see. Mets are obviously hanging around. Like that doesn't. It's not a super great ending, which I honestly don't mind.
Right, I agree.
So and we'll see where the Brewers are at that point, but they're going to be challenged down the stretch.
Yep. All right. Your Vikings. I'm not going to ask you for a win or a loss. Give me one bold prediction for you. I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult. Does J.J. McCarthy, how about this? Does J.J. McCarthy throw for over 100?
I got one.
Okay.
I got one for you. J.J. McCarthy throws a touchdown pass to Lucky Jackson.
All right, that's yours. My bold prediction for the Packers, I'm talking bold.
3 for.
We got 3 kickers now, man.
2 from 3.
We need to figure this thing out. I don't care if it's all field goals. I don't want to be in a situation where we're entering the season and we're like, which kicker should we keep? I want somebody to run away with this, for crying out loud. So kick it as much as you have to.
You'll get no sympathy from me on kicker-based issues.
I'm not used to this. So just figure it out. Figure it out. All right. That's all I got. All right. You ready to announce the winner for our bracket challenge? I don't have a drum
You
roll.
don't have a drum roll?
So did you know who was in the championship?
No, I saw the final four.
Okay. So the championship, again, as voted on by the listeners, was the Packers region winner, Amon Green, versus the Brewers region winner, Ben Sheets. And I will say the voting was tight. It was incredibly close, very close. We're talking probably a couple votes. But when you do the math, 51% on Facebook, 54.3% on Twitter. Ben Sheets is your winner for the most underrated Wisconsin athlete of all time.
That final probably tugged at my mom's heartstrings right there. Ben Sheets v. Amon Green.
Yeah. Ben Sheets defeated Amon Green for the most underrated.
It's interesting because they were around the same time. And I think in some ways you could make the case a bit similar because I don't think, and maybe more so out of the state, people truly understand how good they were at their peak. Amon Green ran for like 1,800 yards or something like that.
Yeah. That was it 03?
Yeah, and that was right 03, 04 where Ben Sheets had like that 8-win season where like he should have gotten more Cy Young votes than he did, but his record wasn't great. But now obviously we know record for pitchers and everything. But that's very interesting that they kind of parallel each other. Ben Sheets had a little more longevity, but obviously Amon Green played more. He's a running back,
right?
So that's very interesting. I like those parallels.
It's interesting to me too because Amon Green is still. I mean, he's still around Green Bay. He's still around. You still hear from him. You don't really hear from Ben Sheets
once in a while. Once in a while. I thought maybe there's been like a time or two over the last several years where maybe like if they were in Atlanta, he like visited the broadcast booth or something like that. Because I think he's involved with like travel ball stuff. Because I think his son. I remember them talking. I think it was announcers talking about like his son is involved.
Yeah, I think you're right now. Now that you said that. So, but I will be surprised when we first started this. Ben Sheets probably wouldn't have been one of my picks to win it all.
Let the people. Yeah.
That's why. I didn't make the pick.
No?
You, the listeners, that made the pick.
You voted.
You were the ones who voted. We had a little back and forth between Lynn Dickey and Amon Green to win the region, but Amon Green won. So, that's how the voting went.
Some regions are tougher than others. That's just how it is.
Yep. So, there you have it. Congratulations.
Sheets.
Benjamin Sheets is your winner for the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. There you have it. So, the comparison I kept throwing out there, I don't know if it's completely accurate or not. Was Ben Sheets kind of like a Lynn Dickey? Ben Sheets had the injuries in that, but a really good player that was on a poo-poo team.
Yeah, and by the time that the team around him got good, unfortunately, his body broke down.
Right. Yeah. So, all right. There we have it. The bracket challenge is over with. Perfect timing.
This year.
For this year, yes. So, but a big thanks for everybody who did vote and participated in the bracket challenge there too. So, all right. We've got Brewers taking on the Reds tonight. First pitch, 7:10. Aaron Savali is on the mound for the Crew. And then we've got, is it Tobias tomorrow? And then the TBD, but I think we all are assuming it's going to be DL Hall. Now, whether that's going to be a normal start or just maybe a couple innings to get in there.
Yeah, his pitch count got up to a decent amount. So depending on how efficient he is, I could see it being more than like a 1 or 2 inning thing, but it might be like 4.
Right, and that's kind of where he was at the beginning of the season too.
Right,
wasn't it?
Right. It was,
and that's a little bit because issues. I got one more prediction for you. How many hits does Jackson Cheerio have this weekend?
Between the 3 games?
Between the 3 games.
4. I'm going to say he cools down a little bit, has a 2-hit game in there.
4?
4.
I'll go 5. I'll go 5. My first number was 6, 2 per game. But I'll take one away just in case.
It's not as easy as making it look.
Do you think he gets a hit in each game? Or does he go hitless in one?
Boy, I'm just gonna say he gets 2 hits in 2 different games, and he's got.
And he goes hitless.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll say like today and Saturday or Sunday. Saturday he has no fur.
Does Jackson Cheerio? They were talking a little bit about this yesterday. This is for a season-long thing now. Does he finish the season with 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases?
After the last couple days, he's put a dent into that. Because I wasn't sure about homers, but I'm gonna say yes.
It was a little surprising. I was a little surprised he's got 15 stolen bases. I thought he would have more.
Yeah, but he hasn't had like other guys have run more than he has.
Right. So he's at 14 home runs, 15 stolen bases. Yeah, I think he will. I think he's keep this up. Definitely. All right. That's going to do it. DP, Danets, they're up next. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. If you do want in on fantasy football, I ain't sending out info or anything like that until we get 16. Got to text me or hit me up on Facebook because I don't even know what league we would do it at yet. So have a good weekend. Talk to you Monday morning.